Hello everyone, welcome to Logic Medico, where we are understanding the concepts in medicine. Today's interesting topic is Pectoralis Major. So let's understand this Pectoralis Major. So Pectoralis Major is present in the anterior aspect of the chest. What is the location of the muscle? So let's understand this muscle's origin and insertion based on the diagram. See, on the anterior aspect of chest we have this bone called clavicle. We have this bone called as sternum, and we have the ribs, right? So the ribs, only the second rib onwards, because the first rib is done under the clavicle. So second to sixth rib, second to sixth rib, and also a part of aponeurosis of external oblique muscle. That we can show like this here, the aponeurosis of external oblique. If you can't remember this, it's okay, but this is the aponeurosis of external oblique. So it takes origin from the clavicle, it takes origin from the sternum, it takes origin from the ribs, second to sixth ribs. So we can call the sternocleidomastoid has got two heads. The clavicular head is going to begin from the clavicle. With surface of clavicle, obviously it is the anterior surface of the clavicle. So obviously anterior surface, you have to remember it's a medial two-third, anterior surface of clavicle. This is called the clavicular head. So it will go straight and laterally like this. Okay, I'll just show the beginning and the ending portion. So this is the beginning portion from the clavicle. That's the ending. Remaining portion you need not show even in the exam. So this diagrammatic way of explanation is there so that it becomes easy for you to write in, reproduce in the exam. Next, the sternocostal head takes origin from the anterior surface of the manubrium sternum, anterior surface of the body of sternum, close to its lateral margin. So this is the sternal head. The costal head takes origin from the anterior surface of this second to sixth rib and the aponeurosis of external oblique. So together this is called as sternocostal head. So what happens when the sternocostal head is going like this? The lowest fiber will reach the highest at the level of insertion. So I'll show you that like this. Whereas the highest fiber in origin comes downwards like this. They will flip. Okay. So at the beginning I'll just show like this. This is the sternocostal origin. Sternocostal head. And this was the clavicular head. So here this pectoralis major is inserted to intertubercular sulcus of humerus. So only what is required, I'll write. This is the head of humerus, greater trochanter, greater tubercle, lesser tubercle. Between the two tubercles there will be one depression. That depression is called as intertubercular sulcus. So here this muscle is attached to the lateral lip of the intertubercular sulcus, this lip, lateral lip of the intertubercular sulcus, in such a way by a bilaminar insertion. So what is this bilaminar insertion? You will understand if I show it like this. You can clearly see the clavicular head is going straight up, okay, but the sternocostal head is getting flipped so that the lowest fibers at origin will become the highest at the insertion, like this, and the highest fiber in origin will become lowest at insertion like this. So it will be flipped like this. So it's a bilaminar insertion where the anterior lamina is formed by it's formed by clavicular head. The posterior lamina is formed by sternocostal head. This anterior head by the clavicular head. So this is the bilaminar insertion, the anterior and posterior lamina for the pectoralis major at the level of lateral lip of intertubercular sulcus of humerus. Intertubercular sulcus. So all that you have to remember is what is the origin, from where it starts is the origin, what is the insertion. So this is the insertion. Where it gets attached and where it acts is actually the insertion. So once you know the location of the muscle, pectoralis major, you should be able to tell its origin based on these logics. So because the bones available here are clavicle, sternum, the ribs, external oblique, for time being aponeurosis will be difficult, and here it's going to the humerus. So obviously it's crossing the joint called a shoulder joint. Here it's crossing this glenohumeral or the shoulder joint. So it acts on the shoulder joint. So before going to the action, I would like to tell the nerve supply of this pectoralis major is by two nerves, one on the medial aspect, one on the lateral aspect. So medial aspect is called medial pectoral nerve. Lateral aspect we call it as lateral pectoral nerve. So this is the action of, this is the nerve supply of pectoralis major. The nerve supply is medial and lateral pectoral nerve. Moving on to the last but not the least, the action of pectoralis major. The action of pectoralis major, actions I can call. I can summarize the action based on the location of the muscle. If at all a muscle is crossing the front surface of joint, imagine one joint is there. If it's crossing the front surface of joint, it will cause flexion of the joint, bending of the joint. Okay. If the muscle is crossing the posterior aspect of the joint, it can cause straightening of the joint, that is extension of the joint. So this clavicular fibers, what do you think? It's crossing the front surface of the joint or not? Yes, it is crossing the front surface. Of what joint? Shoulder joint. So this clavicular head will have flexion of the shoulder joint, or it flexes the arm at the shoulder. But overall, the entire muscle, when it contracts, it brings the arm towards the midline. So a movement of any structure towards the midline is called adduction. So this humerus, when it's coming towards the midline, this movement is called as adduction. That is a prime action of the pectoralis major, that is adduction. Okay, adduction of the shoulder. In addition, it can rotate the humerus like this. It's called the medial rotation. Whereas the clavicular head can cause, already I told you, can cause flexion because it's there on the anterior aspect, front aspect. So it can cause flexion of the shoulder. The main action is adduction of the shoulder and medial rotation of the shoulder. In addition to this, the sternocostal fibers can also cause extension of the flexed arm against resistance, and also helps in climbing. If at all the person is climbing a tree or something like that, to hold on to the branch on the tree on the upper aspect, you can understand the entire torso will be lifted up. So the person will be holding a branch like this, and his body will be lifted up. This individual will hold on to this branch and his body will be lifted up. Here the shoulder won't move, here the body will move, torso will move towards the shoulder. Okay, so it helps in climbing also. So it can be called as a climbing muscle also. Also in a chronic smoker, it acts by pulling these ribs outwards, so it helps in negative intrathoracic pressure. So it's an accessory muscle of respiration. So whenever you see some person during resting condition, if he is using pectoralis major, that means his diaphragm is fatigued and he is a smoker, so he is using his accessory muscles of respiration. Last but not the least, The absence of pectoralis major on one side can be called as Poland syndrome. Normally what happens, both the sides the chest will be like this, right? Both the sides the chest are uniform. Imagine one person has got a chest on one side. Another side the chest has undergone excavation. It appears like a depressed area. Whereas one side is normal, other side it is depressed, as though something is excavated from that area. The congenital absence of this pectoralis major is called as Poland's syndrome. To summarize, pectoralis major is a main muscle of the pectoral region. Pectoral region is nothing but chest region. The location of this muscle is in chest region. The origin of this muscle is from the clavicle, from sternum, from the ribs, that's called the costal origin, and also from the external oblique aponeurosis. Insertion is mainly to the humerus, the arm bone, to the lateral lip of intertubercular sulcus. The main action of this muscle is adduction of the shoulder and medial rotation. Also, clavicular fibers can cause flexion of the shoulder joint, and the nerve supplies medial and lateral pectoral nerve, both medial from medial cord, lateral pectoral nerve from lateral cord. The absence of this muscle congenitally is called as Poland syndrome. Thank you for watching and learning from Logic Medico. If you find this channel interesting, like this video and share this video and help our knowledge to spread to others as well. Thank you very much.